To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. It's kind of amazing. Just a few days ago, it wasn't that long ago, maybe a week ago, this was completely covered in overgrown brush. In that amount of time, Carolyn's come down here just a few hours a day and cleaned it all up so we can build our pole barn, pole lean-to. We're gonna make it out of cedar trees so we can cover up our firewood here. And of course I got to get this cleaned up. I just threw this down well, we got this for free from some guy over at, a few miles from us. So I got to get these cut up and split. I got to get that stacked over there. But I mean, I just got that, so it's not like it's been laying around and I've been lazy. And it rained today, but I was sitting here thinking, at $200 a cord, that's what the going rate is, give or take, for firewood here recently. Now, it can get up to as high as $400 a cord, but I've been thinking, I got $1,000 sitting here. And I really didn't have to work that hard at it. I mean, it's hard work, don't get me wrong, but over time, it's not so bad. You know, this is frustrating. These tarps don't come off until it rains. And then they just blow around like I didn't do anything to secure them. But so it'll be nice to get the pole barn up so I don't have to keep worrying about these tarps. Tarps make it look terrible down here. But if you ignore the tarps, this is just a beautiful sight to me. I can't tell you how much I love this. And it's an asset. It's not an asset that most people would consider an asset either. It has value to it, and a lot of value. If something were to go wrong in the world, the value of this would go up quite a bit. See, here's another frustration. Look, tarp ripped. So these tarps don't last very good in the sun, so they just disintegrate. So pole barn coming soon. And then you got all this brush, and you know, the brush, people say, oh, that's terrible, and you know, you gotta get rid of that, gotta burn that. But this is good starter fuel, good cooking fuel. Carolyn uses this a lot to cook food. If you need to burn waste, that's a good way to burn waste. So I got more firewood down here that I gotta get cut up and stack. I mean, there's just a lot to do. And down here I got my poles for my pole shed, which are gonna be cedar poles. I think I said that earlier. So, and I still got 2 of the cedar trees that I gotta cut down so the garden isn't shaded. And Carolyn's tomato plants, she's thinking about having to transplant them. They've grown so fast. And she's got those heirloom seeds now. She's got so many heirloom seeds. We could live a lifetime, it seems like, off heirlooms. And she just ordered some more. We're gonna get some dirt here in the next week or 2 or 3 and start making her raised garden beds. Really not sure how we're gonna do it. She tried to explain it to me. I thought, you know what, I'll just bring the bricks over and we can deal with it however she wants to deal with it. Got her solar panels all laid out. And they're doing really good making electricity here now that the time change has happened and we get longer evenings, because the evening sun, now that I've cleared it out, lasts longer than the morning sun, which isn't cleared out. We got our compost barrels here, and Carolyn started another compost. I was putting ashes here, and if we ever needed ashes for the garden, we could use the ash, but she started another compost with the chicken waste, the pine shavings and the chicken waste. The newspapers, they'll degrade also. So we got we'll have a really good compost here shortly. What else is there when it comes to off-grid? We've talked about in the past being able to cure our meat. So we've cured a lot of meat now. I've showed you 2 or 3 times us curing meat. And it's just a salt cure. And so I'm gonna order some more of that. Carolyn wants me to order different flavors of cure. And so Carolyn's bought a ton of pork butts. You know, you find these pork butts, nobody wants them, on sale. And so she'll buy 2 or 3 of them. We can cure them, and they last forever. You keep them cool for 3 days after you cure them. Then you can put them anywhere. You can take them, put them under your bed, which we did. We put one of our cures under the bed just to see if it would work. So in one of the tests that I showed you. And you can cure just about anything. Bacon's cured, that's what bacon is. And in ham. I think we got the food portion taken care of. We got the chickens now. The chickens are going to produce eggs. And we got 8 chickens. The creek's running pretty good today. We've had a lot of rain. Now the chickens are we're going to use for eggs. We're not going to butcher the chickens. We might have to butcher a rooster every now and then. And eventually we're going to try to incubate the eggs so we can have more chickens later. And it's not that we need to do that or want to do that. It's just so we'll have the practice to incubate our own eggs. And coming back to the wood, I always got something to do with firewood. It's always here. So, I thought firewood was going to be a problem for us living just on such a small piece of property. But people just give this stuff away. I've talked about preppers before, and specifically YouTube prepper channels. Last year, YouTube was talking about banning prepper and off-grid channels. It was just a murmur of whisperings that they didn't like them. Well, I've gotten some information on that, and it's not near as bad as what it made it sound like last year. But that's what prepper channels do. It's the fear-mongering that causes the problems. And the thing is these prepper channels saying, yeah, YouTube's gonna ban prepper channels. Well, that's fear-mongering. That's exactly what YouTube didn't want in the first place. I watch this one YouTube channel, and he promises every day, I'm not fear-mongering. Yet every time I finish watching this video, I'm in fear that something's gonna go wrong. Whatever the subject of the day, the economy, politics, supernovas, on and on and on. He's got a new reason you need to prep. The thing is he doesn't talk a lot about how to actually prep. He just talks about the fear of not having things when these bad things happen. So yeah, they are fear-mongering. And I guess they're not even aware of it. They go around scared. Of course, fear sells. So maybe that's what it is. They're trying to get their YouTube channel to grow, so they just scare you. But I watch a lot of these prepper channels, several of them actually. I actually don't learn anything from them other than, oh my gosh, the crisis is coming. I mean, last year when the pandemic hit, the prepper channels were just absolutely adamant that we wouldn't survive it. The grocery stores and the economy and all of it. I mean, of course, yes, the pandemic was terrible, but I'm talking about the side effects of it. And it just didn't happen. Not to the extent that they were saying, $50 for a leg of chicken. It just didn't happen. It must be nice to be able to scare everybody to death and then pretend that you never said it when it didn't happen. They don't lose credibility. They just make up a new, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. I think that the off-grid channels actually teach us more. And the homesteading channels, I know the homesteading, they're not necessarily off-grid, and I do think a lot of these homesteading channels would struggle if something were to happen, simply because electric. I think a lot of homesteaders think they could just live without electric, but the problem is in today's society, everything is built around electric. You almost have to have electric some sort because we don't buy hand mixers anymore. We buy electric mixers, just using that as an example. So until you can get your life settled into learning how to do things by hand, you would have to have electric. Another example is log splitters. Every homesteading channel I watch, they don't split wood by hand like I did. I split all that stuff you saw up there with a splitting maul. They split it all with gas-powered log splitters. So there would be a transitional period where you're going to have to learn how to change over from the homesteaders. Living off-grid, I can't imagine, I really can't, all the fear and things that they tell me about, that I wouldn't be able to survive it. So we've talked about electric, food, heat. I even have currency with the firewood, I think. But then we come down to money. I don't need a lot of money. Now, all the money that I have quite a bit of a savings, an emergency fund, and yeah, I don't trade in gold or anything. When you think about gold, if I started stockpiling gold and they decide to make gold illegal, now don't say they can't ever do that, that can't happen. They did it in the last depression. Gold became illegal. So if I wanted to trade gold as a currency during an economic failure, you're not going to trade it because it's illegal. So I don't worry about gold. I worry about things that they really can't take away. Well, I say they can't take away from me. Seems unlikely they would take away from me, like trees and food and knowledge. I think knowledge is a big deal. You know, how do you cure meat? Canning is an option, but you got to remember, canning takes a lot of energy. I would have to have a fire to can food. You know, all my brush up there it'll go through it pretty quick. It takes a lot of energy to can. If you're going to can with propane, you'll run out of propane. And the thing I'm trying to express here is not only does this lifestyle make me happy, because it is freedom. And I think part of the freedom is I'm not afraid of what the preppers are trying to sell. And so the freedom of not having to worry about it at all is a big part of the freedom. I hope I can inspire you to think about living free from everything, including the fear. Thanks for watching.